From honoring social justice to calling out religious hypocrisy, Mornings with Zerlina digs into faith and politics in America. And now your host, Zerlina Maxwell.
Welcome back to Mornings with Zerlina. Doug Pagitt is the executive director of Vote Common Good and a leading advocate for faith-driven civic engagement and a pastor. So good morning, Pastor. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, good morning, Zerlina. So good to be with you.
So one of the things that happened recently, and I'm going to start with the recent news, that the IRS put out a decision saying that now pastors and faith leaders, they can endorse candidates. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? What do you think?
Well, it's certainly a thing. And I've been a pastor for my entire adult life. And I do my work now trying to help candidates from the Democratic side of the party connect with faith voters. And we also help faith voters consider voting for Democrats. And for some people, that doesn't sound like shocking news. But for a big portion of the population of traditional, evangelical, mainline church, even Catholic voters, they've only been told that voting for a Republican is something they can do. And part of that is because Republicans continue to say to pastors and leaders, hey, tell your candidates they should vote for us. And they have all kinds of ways and have for 40 or 50 years organized voter outreach through connections to the faith communities that people are a part of. Where Democrats, on the other hand, have rarely done so. Or if they do, they'll do it in black churches. It's a very common experience inside the black church. But anywhere else, pastors get very nervous. Democratic candidates get very nervous. And it's not serving anybody very well. It's creating too much of a separation and too much anxiety. And so the fact that now the IRS has said, okay, pastors, whatever decisions you have to make, whether you want to endorse a candidate or talk to a candidate inside of the context of your faith communities, we're not going to put your IRS status as something you have to be considering. You feel free to do that if that's something you want to do. I think that makes the playing ground just more level because, frankly, the political right and the religious right have had no problem doing this for the past 5 decades. And it has created a real comfort of of Republicans to speak to faith voters and of faith leaders to speak to Republicans to the point where, it's almost as if Republicans say that the Democrats are a godless party and Democrats don't say anything back. And part of our work at Vote Common Good is to try to help them to do so, try to help them to speak up and just tell the truth about what's going on and the truth about their opinions. So all in all, I think, look, if this causes the opportunity for faith leaders to be more open and honest with their parishioners, if it causes candidates to be more connected to voters, that's going to be a good thing. If it causes, on the other hand, for the religious right to just run wild and do all kinds of things even more than they've done before, and for Democrats to sit on their hands, well, then it's just going to increase the imbalance. And so we're hopeful that that won't happen. And we do a lot of work now training pastors on how they can engage in political life. And some of them feel they need a lot of help and coaching in doing that. And we help candidates figure out how to connect to those voters. So we think it's at least a change, and a change sometimes, can provide some pretty good opportunities.
There's a couple of key things that you said, and I was literally, when you said the black church piece, I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, Democrats always go to black churches, and one of the things that I, as somebody who has worked on multiple campaigns, observed is that this is, it was sort of described within campaigns as like, this is how we do outreach to black voters. And then the young black people in the campaign were like, but all black people are not in church. So like, you're sort of missing a huge swath of people. So if that is your black outreach strategy, then you're missing a lot of people. But then also, I feel like the inability, to your point, for Democrats to speak about moral issues, about faith issues, and speak directly to faith communities outside of the black church, they're also missing key opportunities. And they're missing moments where they could message effectively on the policies that they support that are in alignment with the beliefs of many people of faith.
Yeah, 100%. We've experienced that. And look, strangely, in the black church, upwards of 80, maybe 90% of black church attenders tend to vote for Democrats, at least, on the regular. And in the evangelical church, 70 or 80% of those attenders will vote for Republicans. Now, when you talk to a black church member, they tend to be socially conservative, theologically conservative, but politically can vote for a Democrat. And then on the evangelical side, they're no more theologically conservative, sometimes even less so than their black church counterparts, but they are voting for Republicans. So we know the divide is not over theology. It's not over religion. It's not even over some policies. It's over the political identity. Do they feel at home? And one of the things that can help people feel at home is if their political party speaks to them about all the things that matter to them. Candidates don't need to act like they're more religious than they are to reach faith voters. They just need to show that they like faith voters. In fact, our 6 magic words for Democrats in this age is say to faith voters, I like you and we need you.
Yeah.
And that would really go a long way because we're leaving out all kinds of people, as you say. If black church outreach is all we're doing to the black community, we're missing a whole bunch. If not talking about religion to the Democrats, we're missing a whole bunch. Because frankly, 70% of all the people who vote for a Democratic presidential candidate are religious people. Right. 55% are white Christians, 65% are Christian overall, and 70% are religious, in totality. So why Democrats continue to avoid literally speaking to their base about something that's meaningful to their base is because the Democratic Party has an allergy to speaking to faith voters and speaking about faith issues. And they actually have the advantage because you do polling, like we've done recent polling on political issues with faith voters, and the issues don't fall on the Republican side as much as the voting pattern does. So it's not all about policy. In fact, most politics isn't about policy. Most politics is about, does the voter feel good about themselves if they vote for this candidate? And there's a lot of ways you can help somebody feel more comfortable.
It's so funny that you say that the white evangelicals, they vote for Republicans, and the black churchgoers, they vote for Democrats. And I'm quick to point out, like, aren't you guys reading from the same book? It's literally the same book, right? So it doesn't really make sense to me. And there are other factors, obviously. I'm making a joke of it. But I feel like you're very right to point out that Democrats need to become more comfortable talking to all types of voters, including faith voters, and not performing faith, but
that's right.
If that's something that they genuinely believe in and that they were raised in faith tradition, that they should not obscure that fact or shy away from that fact, right?
Oh, yes. And in fact, here's a way candidates can do it. They can say things like, in our community, there's a lot of needs, and there's some people who are really doing a great job caring for those needs. There's people over at the Baptist church, and here's what they're doing with their food shelf. And there's people over here at the Methodist church, and what they're doing with their homeless outreach. It's incredible. Well, I think the federal government or the state government or the county government should actually be participating in ways to make it so that those churches don't have to carry so much of the burden, right? And by doing so, what you're naming are issues that matter to you, and you're recognizing the community contribution that these faith communities have. But I'll tell you, Democratic candidates get so nervous about saying anything about church. And look, our organization does a whole lot of work around confronting Christian nationalism. We believe Christian nationalism in America is a real problem and is really threatening democracy in this country. But being Christian doesn't make you a Christian nationalist. Right. And being a Christian who wants to be involved in politics doesn't make you a white Christian nationalist. So we have to get over the fear that all the people that are going to be motivated by faith have the same desired outcome, and just deal with the reality that exists. But most Democrats don't even know the faith leaders in their community. So some of the work that we're doing in this, we're working a lot of the seats that we believe need to flip from red to blue for Congress. We are introducing the candidate running in that district to the faith leaders because they don't even know how to meet them. They don't know where to go. I was speaking to one the other day from Illinois, and she said, very honestly, she said, okay, I've got a bunch of these churches in my district. Can I just go there, do you think? Like, could I just attend a church service? Would that be appropriate if I'm not a believer of their faith? She literally didn't know if she could just attend the church or introduce herself to the pastor or just stop into the church office during the week and say, hey, I'm running for office, and if you ever need anything, let me know. She didn't have any idea if she could even do it. And I promise you, the Republican candidate has never worried if they should walk into a church and introduce themselves, right? So some points, we're dealing with real basic kinds of changes that could really make a big difference. And if this IRS change opens up that window, opens up the opportunity, we think something can happen because there's not a very sophisticated infrastructure built on the Democratic side of the political aisle to reach out to faith voters. And so we're going to need all the help we can get.
As you were saying that, I was like, oh, bless their heart. Because, well, one, if you grew up in church, and you're probably going to laugh when I say this, anybody who did grow up in church, like, churches love it when you're a new visitor. That's a big deal. They make you stand up. Like, they're really excited when new people come. So, of course, it would be fine as somebody. And honestly, they assume that you don't believe in their faith if you're new, right? They're like, any new visitors, would you like to dedicate your heart to Jesus Christ? Like, that's the whole thing. Like, they do a whole thing at the end. There's a whole part of the service that is special for you. So I think that, more Democrats just need to understand and embrace that faith voters are voters. It's something that Reverend Leah Daughtry was talking about earlier in the week as a part of our Faith and Politics series. And I'm happy that Democrats are now going to lean into this because we can't ignore this significant portion of our population. And it's part of a winning electoral strategy. Pastor Doug Pagitt, Executive Director of Vote Common Good and leading advocate for faith-driven civic engagement. Pastor, thank you so much for being with us to close out our Faith and Politics week-long series. It was great having you on.
Well, thanks so much. Have a great day.